Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital, GH, spoilers for Monday, February 23rd, indicate that Willow Kane, Caitlin McMullen, will face a parental problem. Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, will also receive some troubling news, while Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy, crosses a line with Giovanni Gio Palmieri, Giovanni Mazza. At Brown Dog Bar, Jocelyn will question Gio about Emma Scorpio Drake, Braden Bruner. That may drive Jocelyn to press Gio for more information about Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, and her Caesar Faison, Anders Hove, allegations. Gio, on the other hand, is concerned about Emma's journey and whether she will leave Port Charles. Jocelyn will push Gio a little too hard, but she will back down once she sees she has overstepped. Maxie Jones, Kirsten Storms, will be overcome with emotion in the cemetery, and she may be unable to inform Nathan West, Ryan Pavey, about her future. Damian Spinelli, Bradford Anderson, will be distracted at home before ultimately opening out to Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens Bruning. Now that Nathan has returned, Spinelli admits that he must expect Maxie to select him. Lulu will assist Spinelli work through his emotions and may recommend that he fight for Maxie if that is what he wants. Spinelli seemed willing to fight earlier, but now he'll feel defeated. ADA Justine Turner, Nazneen contractor, will issue a warning to Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna. Justine will make it very obvious that there is no longer any space for error in Drew Kane's, Cameron Matheson's, case. Dante will make a vow on Monday's GH episode, so he can reassure ADA Turner that they will be cautious and avoid additional mistakes. Of course, Justine will be concerned about Rick Lansing's, Rick Hurst, allegations against Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard. Rick brought up a witness who saw Chase with Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson's, keys, so ADA Turner may be concerned Chase is obsessed enough to try to frame Michael. Dante may share this fear and agree to grill Chase shortly. Meanwhile, Chase will face Michael's fury in the Courtemain mansion. Michael will lose his rage and clobber Chase right there in the kitchen. Brooke Lynn Courtemain, Amanda Seton, will be present for Michael's outburst and will hear Michael's false charges about the key to Drew's house. While Brooke Lynn interrogates Chase, Rick will reveal the essential scenario to Alexis, raising her concerns. Alexis may distrust Chase's willingness to plant Drew's key on Michael's keychain. Alexis may wonder how Chase obtained a key in the first place, leading her to assume Willow was behind the frame-up. Meanwhile, Wiley will be unable to sleep and will acknowledge that he dislikes being at Willow's place. It may give Wiley negative vibes because he used to live there with Drew, or he may take a peek in Drew's room and be taken aback by his current state. Wiley has been living at the Courtemain estate for a time and feels more at ease there, so he might ask Willow to take him home. Willow may need to divert or persuade Wiley in order to convince him that this overnight can still be enjoyable. According to General Hospital spoilers, Willow will do everything it takes to solve the Wiley situation, so stay tuned. The drama in Port Charles never completely stops, and on this particular Monday in late February, emotions that had been simmering for weeks suddenly erupted in ways that left everyone stunned. Willow Tate Kane finds herself staring at one of the most difficult times a mother can face, as her young son Wiley sits across from her, his small face wrinkled in misery. He's been spending time at the house she and Drew share, which was supposed to feel like home after so much upheaval, but something isn't right. Wiley shifts in his seat, avoiding her gaze at first, and when he does speak, the words hit her like a punch in the belly. He doesn't like being here. The admission is mild, even timid, yet it bears the weight of truth, which children can convey without filters. Willow's heart races as she attempts to digest this. She has worked so hard to repair her life, to prove she can be the stable parent Michael has always questioned, and now her own child is rejecting the same atmosphere she believed would win him over. She kneels down to his level, her voice soothing and coaxing, asking why and what exactly hurts him. Is it the new routines, the absence of familiar objects from Michael's house, or something deeper that she can't pinpoint? Wiley mumbles about missing his previous room and how things feel different now that Drew is present, despite the fact that Drew is still healing and not quite himself. Willow's mind jumps back to the truths she has kept hidden, the rounds she fired in a fit of wrath and panic, the cautious administration of medicines to keep Drew unconscious while she maneuvers for more control. She had convinced herself that it was all necessary, a temporary precaution to secure her future, but hearing Wiley's dissatisfaction pushes her to confront how far she had strayed. She assures him that things will improve, that they will make it feel like home again, possibly with more playdates or his favorite meals. But inside, panic increases. What if Wiley rejects this life? What does it entail for her custody battle? Michael will seize on any signs of instability, and the courts may rule in his favor. Meanwhile, across town, Jocelyn Jacks sits with Giovanni Palmieri, also known as Gio, in a quiet area of the cafe, possibly outside the music room where he practices. Their chat begins innocently enough, discussing music, school, and the daily routines of life in Port Charles. But Jocelyn's thoughts keep returning to Emma Scorpio Drake, who has been gone for much too long. Emma's departure has created a gap, and Jocelyn can't help but question Gio about it. She asks innocuous questions that gradually become more pointed: where Emma is, why the timeline is expanding, and whether Gio has heard anything new from her family. Gio moves uncomfortably, evidently unwilling to delve too deeply into family problems or whatever secrets the Scorpio Drakes are keeping. Jocelyn presses, her concern for her buddy mingled with annoyance at the lack of responses. She advises that Gio reach out more actively, or that they form a team to figure out what is going on. Gio tries to deflect, assuring her that Emma's parents have it under control, but Jocelyn is not easily deterred. She has always been the sort to delve headfirst into difficulties, especially when it comes to loyalty, and she believes Gio is withholding facts that could help. The exchange heats up, with Jocelyn accusing him of being too meek or possibly hiding something. Gio finally snaps back, telling her she's going too far by demanding details she doesn't have. He holds firm, arguing that this is private family business, and that if Emma had wanted everyone to know, she would have told them. Jocelyn feels the sting of his words and realizes she has gone too far in her eagerness to help. She apologizes, albeit unwillingly, and promises to drop it for now, but the tension remains. Their friendship, which was previously simple and light, now has an undercurrent of dread, and Jocelyn wonders if she has permanently harmed it by allowing her impulsiveness to take over. Not far away, Alexis Davis is navigating her own tempest of uncertainty. She's been juggling a lot lately, caring for Scout as Sam deals with her own troubles, accepting Laura's surprise offer to take Drew's congressional seat, and dealing with the lingering uncertainties from her previous visit to Drew's bedside. Drew had attempted to communicate something essential with only his eyes, blinking in patterns that frustrated them both. Alexis had left that room uncomfortable, convinced he was warning her about something, or someone, but unable to decipher what. Now Rick Lansing arrives with news that disturbs her even deeper. He knows about the investigation into Drew's shooting, such as the discovery of a key leading back to the crime site or fabricated evidence that points fingers in unexpected directions. Rick lays it out carefully, noting how this new piece could complicate things for Michael, who has been under investigation, or possibly uncover contradictions in the official story. Alexis listens, her legal mind racing to connect the dots. She knows Willow was the one who pulled the trigger, she's pieced it together from bits of evidence and her own observations, but hearing Rick's update makes her wonder how far the lie goes. Why would Willow go to such extremes? Is it only about custody, or is there some ambition there, especially with the congressional seat now in play? Alexis gets a chill as she sees Willow is setting herself for the role Laura has urged her to pursue. The prospect of Willow acquiring governmental power while concealing such evil is worrisome. Alexis becomes skeptical of everything: Dante's vows to handle things quietly, assurances from others that the issue is simple, and even her own instincts, which had failed to act sooner. She paces her living room or office, considering her alternatives. Should she face Willow directly, risking further escalation? Or probe deeper discreetly, accumulating more evidence before making a move? Rick's announcement has thrown her off balance, causing her to re-evaluate alliances and objectives. She thinks about Scout and the dangers of allowing someone like Willow to grow too close to power, and decides to proceed cautiously but aggressively. With each revelation, the day becomes heavier, and Alexis realizes she is merely at the start of a wider unraveling. As the afternoon progresses in Port Charles, these three tales cross in subtle ways: their ripples influencing the larger picture of the town. Willow, desperate to calm Wiley, may approach Michael for guidance or compromises, unknowing that he is already upset over evidence at the PCPD that could expose more of her plans. Jocelyn, still hurt from her fight with Gio, may confide in someone like Trina or even Carly, eliciting more questions regarding Emma's condition and potentially drawing in Anna or others. Alexis, armed with Rick's information, could begin asking pointed questions that lead her closer to the truth about Willow's behavior, potentially setting up a long-awaited confrontation. The beauty of days like today in Port Charles stems from how personal crises intersect with greater schemes. Willow's conflict with Wiley is more than simply a child's desire. It's a flaw in the mask she's erected to conceal her shame and ambition. Jocelyn's excess with Gio mirrors her impetuous temperament, which has saved and complicated her life several times. Alexis' developing doubts stem from her history of fighting for justice, even if it means confronting those she previously trusted. By nighttime, Willow has tucked Wiley in with additional stories and hugs, whispering promises she isn't sure she can keep. She looks up at the ceiling later, wondering whether she has gone too far, if the power she seeks is worth the cost to her kid. Jocelyn walks home alone, rehearsing her chat with Gio, vowing to be more aware yet knowing her protective impulses will always urge her forward. Alexis sits with a glass of wine and files strewn out, plotting her next steps with the same tenacity that has defined her entire career. In Port Charles, no secret remains hidden indefinitely, and on this Monday, the gaps expand even further, dragging everyone into eventual reckonings. Willow's familial issue causes her to reconsider her career, Jocelyn's boundary crossing strains a burgeoning relationship, and Alexis's misgivings spark a fire that threatens to destroy all. The community holds its breath, waiting for the next step in this never-ending dance of love, treachery, and redemption. The Monday, February 23 episode of General Hospital included a potent mix of violent confrontations, emotional anguish, and the slow burn of suspicion that promises to impact several crucial relationships in Port Charles. The narrative focus was sharp, zeroing in on three major storylines: the violent culmination of Michael Corinthos' rage against Harrison Chase, the deeply personal and painful custody battle involving Willow's son Wiley, and the ever-watchful eye of Alexis Davis, whose instincts tell her that Drew Kane is deeply flawed. Each story progressed with key beats that will have consequences over the week. The day's most visceral scene occurred in the Courtemain breakfast room, which is more accustomed to family squabbles than all-out physical assaults. Michael Corinthos, who had been seething with a deadly amount of rage since discovering the key intended to blame him for Drew's attempted murder, finally snapped. When Michael confronted Harrison Chase, he let his fists do the talking, launching a savage attack that threw Chase to the floor. Brooke Lynn Chase could only watch in horror, her calls for Michael to stop falling on deaf ears as her husband was beaten. This was not just a case of mistaken identity or petty rivalry. Michael is convinced that Chase, a police officer and his cousin-in-law, inserted a key to Drew's house on his keyring with the intention of framing him. Michael saw this as a high-level betrayal, a deliberate move by someone he previously called family that was intended to damage his life and alienate him from his children. The attack was visceral and personal, indicating that Michael is now functioning on primitive instinct rather than rationality or restraint. He sees Chase as a direct agent of the conspiracy against him, and in that instant, the polished businessman is replaced by a man out for vengeance. However, the dramatic irony is thick for the audience, who is aware of the truth. Chase's role in the investigation began with a proposal to Nathan West to check Michael's keys. He was following a lead rather than planting evidence. Willow, Michael's wife, is the ultimate architect of his sorrow, as she placed the key there to protect Drew and establish their life together. This disparity between Michael's righteous hatred and the focus of his wrath adds a tragic depth to the violence. Michael is not only alienating another member of his extended family by attacking Chase, but he is also ignoring the true adversary who lives in his own home. The incident significantly extends the gap between the Courtemain and Chase families, putting Brooke Lynn in a difficult position between her husband and her cousin. While Michael unleashed his bodily rage, his son Wiley caused an emotional and psychological explosion that struck at the heart of Willow's intentions. Willow's custody agreement, which allows her to have Wiley and Amelia at the home she shares with Drew, is unstable, and it began to crumble on Monday. Wiley, dressed in his jammies and seemingly settling in, told his mother a painful truth: he doesn't enjoy it there. This is a devastating blow to Willow. Her entire plan has been based on creating a secure, loving family for her children, with Drew serving as a paternal figure. Wiley's rejection of that home calls her new life into doubt and provides Michael significant leverage. Wiley's suffering has multiple causes, all of which point to Willow's poisoned environment. The toddler is most likely picking up on Drew's anxiety and the oddity of his situation. More specifically, he is still hurt by a previous vicious comment Drew made, implying that Michael didn't really want him. Michael has subsequently assured Wiley of his love, but the impact of Drew's comments remains in the child's head. Wiley's dislike for the house is a direct result of Drew's manipulation and Willow's decisions, demonstrating that youngsters are far more perceptive than adults frequently give them credit for. Willow's situation has become precarious as a result of this development. She can't compel Wiley to be happy, and his discomfort hurts her case for equal custody. It also allows Michael to probe Wiley further about what happens at Drew's place. Wiley has a greater chance of unintentionally revealing his mother's darkest secret than ever before. If Michael suspects something is wrong, he may begin asking his son probing questions about Drew and the special medicine his mother gives him. Wiley's candor could be the key to unraveling the entire riddle of Drew's condition, transforming him from a passive victim to an unintentional catalyst for the truth. Amidst the violent confrontations and custody issues, a calmer but equally important story unfolded, focusing on Alexis Davis. Her acute legal mind and maternal instincts are on full alert. She left her recent interactions with Drew with a strong sense of discomfort. Drew, who was caught in a locked-in state that everyone assumed was caused by a stroke, tried furiously to contact with her, blinking what appeared to be an SOS signal. Alexis didn't identify the code at first, dismissing it as anxiety, but the recollection of his frenzied eyes stuck with her. Her suspicions were heightened when Rick Lansing, now defending Michael, arrived with word of the critical evidence in Drew's attempted murder case. Rick is investigating the planted key and the witness, later revealed to be Wiley, who observed someone handling Michael's keys. While Rick's news is relevant to the legal battle, it contributes to the whirling vortex of suspicion surrounding Drew's current situation. Alexis is a survivor, a recovering addict, and a woman who has learned to follow her instincts when something seems off. Her skepticism, as revealed in the spoilers, indicates that she will not let the mystery of Drew's health go. Alexis is particularly qualified to connect the dots. Drew was clearly attempting to communicate with her. She had heard of the dirty tricks used in Michael's case, and she is one of the few persons who could detect signals of anything more sinister than a medical occurrence. If she begins to doubt the date of Drew's stroke and his present treatment, she may become the unlikely hero who exposes Willow's crimes. Her skepticism is the first thread in what will undoubtedly be a much greater unraveling of Willow's web of falsehoods. Aside from these three central stories, the episode also addressed the seismic emotional consequences of Nathan West's resurrection from the grave. Maxie was absolutely stunned, her world turned upside down by the return of the husband she had mourned for years. Her experience with Nathan at the cemetery pushed her to confront a topic she never expected to face. What does his return mean for us? Nathan, for his part, appeared unhappy, possibly recognizing that the life he hoped to return to no longer exists. This reconnection forms a terrible love triangle. Spinelli, Maxie's faithful and loving boyfriend, is left on the sidelines, informing Lulu that he will not battle for Maxie because he worries he would not be able to compete with the love of her life. His defeatist attitude, based of insecurity, opens the path for Nathan. Lulu's sympathetic ear to Spinelli is tempered by her own unresolved love for Nathan. Meanwhile, the issue of legality looms large. If Nathan was never legally dead, is Maxie even permitted to be with Spinelli? The emotional and legal quagmire has just begun. In a light-hearted but memorable occasion, Jocelyn Jacks was advised to back off. After becoming extensively involved in the investigation of Windmere's hidden programs, someone, most likely Jack Brennan, ordered her to step aside. Her furious response was, "Consider it dropped," implies that she is being forced to quit a path of investigation, but for someone as determined as Jocelyn, this is probably just a momentary stop. The order to drop it will most likely fuel her resolve to learn what she isn't supposed to know. Monday's program was a masterclass in increasing tension. Michael's physical assault on Chase escalates the legal dispute to a violent new level. Wiley's rejection of Willow's house sows seeds of distrust that could lead to a custody disaster for her. Alexis' developing suspicion frames her as a potential truth-seeker in the Drew paralysis mystery. As the week progresses, with Dante making serious commitments and Michael's darker side completely unleashed, Port Charles braces for a storm that will put family relationships to the test, threaten secrets, and blur the line between victim and villain.